You know, they say the pain of delivering a child is something that you could never get a man to fully understand. Well, after watching this movie, I think I have a good idea. What is up, everybody, and welcome to my review of the latest Happy Madison Netflix release, Kinda Pregnant. This is a film that I will tell you right off the bat, I was pretty sure was not going to be for me. I am not a fan whatsoever of Amy Schumer. Don't have any personal hate against her. I've just never found her to be funny. Don't find her to be particularly that great of an actress. And this trailer did not entertain me whatsoever. Well, then that begs the question, Cody, if you're so sure this wasn't for you, then why did you even bother spending your time on it? Why did you even watch it? It's a fantastic question. Through a series of events this morning that I don't need to get into, I was woken up hours before I was planning to wake up. And so I had a lot of free time on my hands. And so I had the choice of continue my binge through Dexter and actually start season 8, or watch the new Amy Schumer Netflix comedy. And if you've seen season 8 of Dexter, you know, yes, that's a very difficult choice. So needless to say, I put off the inevitable pain of revisiting season 8 of Dexter and decided to give a chance to this Amy Schumer Netflix comedy. And within about 15 minutes, and I think that's probably generous, all of my fears and assumptions about this movie were absolutely validated, but I was already in, so I fucking stayed in. The plot of this movie is you follow Amy Schumer, who is a school teacher who just wants a family. She wants to be loved and married and have a child, and all of her friends around her are all getting those things while she is not. So out of jealousy, she starts to wear a fake pregnant belly to get all of the benefits of being a pregnant woman, having somebody give up their seat for you on the subway, having people tell you that you're glowing, having everybody shower all this praise all over you. And then she meets a guy. She meets a guy that's probably going to be the one, but he thinks that she's pregnant. So, oops. Trouble in paradise.
Judging by your facial bloating, 5 months?
I'll break your fucking neck.
What was that?
And as I said earlier, this is a film that is produced by Happy Madison, which is Adam Sandler's production company. It is co-written by Amy Schumer herself and is directed by Tyler Spindell, who, whether you know or not, is actually the nephew of Adam Sandler. And he is well known for being the director of movies like Father of the Year, The Wrong Missy, and The Outlaws. And before I dive into everything that I thought about this film, one thing that I can tell you is you don't have to be pregnant to understand what it's like to want good food, fast, and convenient. So if you want all those things, check out the sponsor of today's video, Factor. It's a new year, and like pretty much everybody else, I have a new set of wellness goals, but by far the hardest one to stick to is a diet. And if you're anything like me, the busy schedule is what makes it so hard, because I end up relying on takeout or frozen prepared meals more times than not because of the quickness and the convenience. Well, Factor Meals makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever with chef-prepared prepackaged meals that are ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Strive towards your summer wellness goals with options like Keto, Calorie Smart, and Protein Plus. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes all of the stress out of meal prepping by letting you skip the grocery store, the prepping, and especially the cleanup, while you enjoy chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals that are all delivered right to your door. And with over 35 meals available, there's a variety of weekly options that will never allow you to fall victim to food fatigue. Plus, you can round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with over 55 different add-ons, such as apple cinnamon pancakes or fruit smoothies. So if you're ready to take all the stress out of nutrition and wellness, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50CodyLeach to get 50% off, plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's 50CodyLeach at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. And thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring today's video. So starting off with the positives of Kinda Pregnant, and this is one of those times where I really had to think. I really had to sit down and try to figure out what things in this mess of a film I actually thought were pulled off well. And I came up with 2. The main one is that you have Damon Wayans Jr. in here in a relatively small role. He's got 3 scenes in the movie. I thought that his character and the way that he delivered his dialogue was actually pretty funny. He is an absolute douchebag pussy hound that has zero self-awareness. And the way that he delivers some of his lines in conversations with Amy Schumer genuinely got me to chuckle. And it's absolutely no surprise to me that in a movie that represents pretty much everything that I think is wrong with modern day comedies, a member of the Wayans family is the one shining star. The second thing that I did enjoy is that there's a number of background jokes, background bits, background lines in this movie that also got a little bit of a chuckle out of me. What do I mean by that? Think of like Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, when he's walking down the street with the giant lady and you hear the guy in the background go, "That's a huge bitch." That's the type of jokes that actually made me laugh. Something that is irrelevant to what's going on in the scene. It's nothing that's delivered by any of the actors that are actually on screen at the moment. It's something that's just said in passing or said off to the side by a background actor that at least 4 out of the 8 or 9 of them got a decent chuckle out of me because they were just so unexpected. So there's 2 things in this movie that did get somewhat of a comedic response out of me. And now we start off with the laundry list of negatives. Now, I'll acknowledge right off the bat, of course, this movie is not necessarily geared towards me. This is a film that is seemingly written and produced for women who have had the experience of being pregnant or had the experience of being in a friend group where you're the only one who is not pregnant. And as a guy, I'm never going to be able to completely relate to that. I can sympathize, I can kind of see where some of the humor's coming from, but it's not meant for me. So that's fine. There might be some women out there that are going to watch this and think I'm out of my mind. This was one of the funniest things they've seen in a very long time. I'd be fascinated to have that conversation, but I just need to acknowledge that right off of the bat. I understand that this movie is not for me. I still think it should be able to entertain me despite that, but cool. It's not for me. And now with that little PSA out of the way, what the fuck was this? Look, I have been saying for years at this point, maybe as long as I have been on YouTube, that it just depresses me down to my core, the state of comedy in film right now. I don't think that comedy has been in a good place in at least 12 years, maybe 15 years. When I tried to go back and think of the last movies that were just straightforward comedies that actually made me laugh my ass off in the theater, that's how far back I have to go. I have to go back to This Is the End and Ted and shit like that seems so far in the rearview mirror that people like me that grew up absolutely loving the genre of comedy, I feel like I'm starving on the street. I'm like, God damn, can somebody throw me a fucking saltine or something? I'm dying out here. And then you get a movie like this that is produced by a lot of funny people that have delivered a ton of comedies that I actually love. And this is what we get. This is what we get with modern day comedies. It's a sorry excuse for a story with somebody that, I'll get into it, I don't think is a very good comedic actress. And all of the writing for all the situational humor, all the dialogue humor is like so low-hanging fruit, lowbrow humor that I don't even think this thing would be funny 20 years ago. Here's an example of some of the jokes that you get in this movie. You have 3 women standing around talking about a fetus, and one of them says, "Oh, it's just like fermented cum sitting inside of your vagina." You have a scene where Amy Schumer puts on the belly and goes to like a pregnant yoga class, and they're talking about breathing in through the vagina and exhaling through the butthole. And it's just a 5-minute scene of dialogue with background actors farting and queefing for 5 minutes. You have a character that pulls a fucking alpaca, it's kind of like a llama, into the middle of a baby shower and says, "I've been squeezing on this cow's nipple all day to get a little bit of cream into my coffee." And Amy Schumer looks down and says, "Oh, it's a male. You've been jerking off a male alpaca all day." And she goes, "Oh, I guess that's why it's salty." And that is the style and the cadence of all of the humor in this film, is like this lowbrow, crass, edgelord bullshit that is not only not funny, it's like, it's cringeworthy. Seeing actresses and seeing comedians that all worked together on this, made a script, probably riffed and did a lot of ad-libbing on set while the cameras were rolling, and this was the best you could come up with. What the fuck? And the shame of it is I love crass comedy. I love raunchy sex comedies. Like, that's my bread and butter. That's what I grew up with. I was born in the generation of American Pie, okay? That is Exactly the type of comedies that I grew up loving and wish I could see more of. But this is like a really sad, pale imitation of that, trying to get some of that edgy reaction that movies like that got 20 plus years ago, but just having none of the talent to deliver that. And in a way, it kind of like dilutes the actual merit of that entire subgenre of comedy. There's plenty of people out there that call them like dick and fart joke movies and dismiss any of the actual commentary or any of the actual smart side of that humor that was delivered in those raunchy movies. And these are the movies that are examples that kind of like, they validate that mindset, that this is the dumbest, most lowbrow version of comedy, and this entire subgenre is just trash. It's like the slasher of comedy. The bad ones give it a bad name, and all of us that know the good ones are like, fuck that, they don't represent us. Moving on from the humor, which is the biggest piece of the pie of the experience you're going for with the comedy. Again, I don't think that Amy Schumer is a very funny person. I have never found any of the stand-up that I've seen from her to be funny. I have never found any of the movie roles that she has had to be funny. The movie she did with Apatow, Trainwreck, was decent, but I still thought she was the weakest part by a landslide in that film. And she even has all this controversy of being a joke thief. So I don't even understand why we're still pushing her. Like, she's just one of those celebrities, one of those personalities that I just don't understand the hype for. I don't understand the appeal for. And it seems like I'm not alone. It seems like that I'm in the majority there, because I clicked on the link for the trailer for this video on Facebook, and the very first comment down below by a woman said that I would rather die in Iraq than watch this movie. And the shame of that is that I know there's tons of genuinely funny female comedians out there that haven't had the opportunity to lead movies, and why Amy Schumer is still getting those roles, I just don't understand. I mean, am I alone? Who are the Amy Schumer fans watching this? Please sound off down below. Explain it to me. This isn't something that's as important in a comedy as ridiculous as this, but there's numerous times throughout the movie where they completely stretch reality. I mean, you have a school guidance counselor that is swearing up and down, making sexual lewd gestures, and even vaping inside of her office. All of this taking place in the school. And there's moments like that where you're like, how she would be fired immediately. Like, what's going on here? Again, it's a comedy. It's stupid. I get it. But there's a lot of things in here like that where I'm like, I don't think this is planet Earth. But the biggest issue that I had with this film, and this is going to lean into spoiler territory. I don't think anybody's going to give a fuck about spoilers for a movie like this. I don't think the term spoilers even is deserved with a movie like this. But if you don't want to know anything about the plot of this film or where it might go by the end of it, then I guess skip this segment. I think I've made my point very clear. I don't recommend this film, so you know where I stand. But the story and the heart of a comedy is just as important in the good ones as the comedy itself. The characters, the character journeys, what they learn, how they grow through all of the antics and the hilarity, that is so crucial to telling a good, satisfying story that is filled with laughs. And I don't understand at all what message or what journey they were trying to convey with Amy Schumer's character here. She is a fucking horrible person. Like, she's a character that you cannot like unless you just love Amy Schumer, so anything she's in, you just enjoy it because it's her. Like, it's a character that is so psychotically obsessed with having a family. She goes on this journey where she's conning all of these people, family, friends, co-workers, literally meeting new friends and having the entire crux of their new, very valuable friendship be the fact that they're both pregnant and they both understand each other's struggles. She's doing all of this to all of these, for the most part, really good people for her own stupid, selfish reasons. And at no point in the story does she really have any lesson learned about that. You would think in like a good version of this, there would be a series of events between the second and the third act where the cat's out of the bag and everybody finds out she's not really pregnant, and she really has to have like this existential crisis where she looks at herself and says, wow, I'm a shit fucking person. I probably shouldn't be a shit fucking person anymore. Here's how I've grown. Here's how I'm going to change. And here's how I'm going to make it up to all these people that I have hurt. You never get that. You just get, at best, a point where she gets caught and she's sorry that she's caught. And everybody else is just like, oh, sorry you caught me. This is just who I am. But Forgive me, because I'm actually really good. I'm a nice person underneath. I don't know, I just made a mistake. The fuck you are? You suck. And so the main romance of this film between her and Will Forte, I can't invest myself in. I can't even champion any kind of happy ending with them because it's not a happy ending for him. He's stuck with a fucking devil woman. And that was the part that was just really disappointing to me. Like, okay, I didn't expect you to make me laugh. And you went even further with just making me embarrassed at your attempts to make me laugh. But if you could still tell a decent story, if you could still pull on the heartstrings, if you could still give me something to walk away from this movie with, to talk about, to think about, or, make me feel at least somewhat satisfied by the end of it, I could forgive a little bit of that, but you don't even get that here. You just go on this journey with this shit person where they start as a shit person and they end as a shit person, and nobody holds them accountable for being a shit person. What are we doing here? There's even one joke in the movie that, like, as a father, genuinely pissed me off. You have her on the subway or on the train, and this 15-year-old girl, who I think was played by one of Adam Sandler's daughters, ironically enough, is looking at her and telling her she's glowing and she looks beautiful, and she turns to her mom and she says, I want to be pregnant. And she's like, no, you're 15, bitch. You're not going to be pregnant. What are you talking about? And then later on in the movie, they see her again and she's got a full fucking belly. Full, like, 8-month pregnant 15-year-old. How is that funny in any way, shape, or form? Explain, please. And actually, I'm glad that I remembered that, because that brings up a total other issue with the narrative of this film. The passage of time in this movie is totally incoherent. Like, at no point do you get any kind of, like, a changing of the seasons or anything to let you know that months are passing during the entire run of this story. But there's events like that 15-year-old girl that let you know, like, oh shit, okay, so this has been like almost a year that she's been doing all of this, and she's been fucking around with Will Forte. Like, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like maybe 2 weeks. I have questions. Anyway, I highly doubt any of you watching this are surprised whatsoever. That's probably going to be the most common comment down below, is like, what did you expect? I expected this. I should have known better, but, I don't know. Curiosities, intrusive thoughts won, I guess. But yeah, hard pass on Kinda Pregnant. This is the type of comedy that I despise the existence of, because it's everything wrong with modern comedy. You either get comedies that are so afraid to be funny, or you get comedies that aren't afraid to be funny and are willing to push all the envelopes, but do it in the dumbest, most lame fucking way possible. And so then it scares people from wanting to take those types of chances and push the envelope in that way. So maybe one day we'll get a resurgence of comedy classics, of a good golden age of comedy again. Maybe they'll get a nice little run like we're enjoying right now with the horror genre, but fuck, I hope it gets here soon, because if this is all that we get, count me out. I don't want to laugh anymore. Take it away. Well, that's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed that, click over here for all of my 2025 new release reviews. And I'm also going to put 31 on 31, a night of comedy up here, where me and some friends ranked 31 of our favorite comedies. Please check all that out. Like, share, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss everything in the future. And as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean you have to be.